Shut up and sit down.
Believe in yourself because you came all the way to here. That means you must have some talent. You must have some potential. Just don't throw it away by just giving up.
I let go of the handlebars, let go of the handles. I let go of the handlebars, letting go of the handles. Yeah, I can't keep my hands off you or off my bicycle.
I've told you once and I'll tell you again. Shut up, legs. I'd love to say that to Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Doering as well, but I'd probably get canned from this gig. Nevertheless, enjoy the Dialed podcast.
Yep.
Yes, showing up and participating is important. Trying your best is important, but neither deserves a trophy. If you want one of those, go win some.
Do I look too cool? Do I look too cool? On my bicycle, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm sorry,
You ate all the waffles?
Yes, I did.
Could have asked us if we wanted any.
Nuh-uh, if I give you the waffles, I won't get any.
Link, would you like a waffle?
There is no more waffles. I have them all.
Why, yes, Rhett, I think I would like 2 waffles.
You can't, you want 2 of them? I just don't know why you guys get all the waffles. You guys are being selfish.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I am Jake Von Doering, and I'm here with Lance Epler.
Lance Romance coming at you from Utah, somewhere in Utah.
No one knows where you are, even yourself.
I'm not even sure. I'm up Provo Canyon somewhere.
Cool.
Sitting in the van with the wife and dog.
Down by the river.
Living the dream. Living the dream.
Living the dream.
Yeah, we've got a video of Lance.
How's the stash?
It's feeling pretty good. It's starting to get a little too long again, but you just roll with it.
Yeah. Does it like hang out of the window when you're driving somewhere in the van?
It flops around. It gets into my food if I don't have it properly coiffed.
Okay.
Huh. Didn't bartenders also used to be like hair cutters too? Wasn't that a thing? That's the whole thing in Utah. You like go to a bar and it's
Barbers.
like the doctor's there too and the barber. It's like all under one roof.
I feel like you just made this up.
Old timey Evan.
In the last couple of days, I've been called Yosemite Sam, Captain Crunch, Wyatt Earp, Val Kilmer. I keep getting hassled, and also Peter Stetina, and I'll take the Peter Stetina one. So.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
That's the most relevant. I like that.
We've got
and Dastardly Dan.
We've got a digital head of Lance sitting in a spot here, so this is kind of funny. It's like right where his head would be, but it's like a little tiny head of Lance. Love it.
All right.
To Lance's digital right, Mr. Evan Price. How you feeling today, Evan?
Feeling a little spacey, but outside of that, pretty good. We got some Spindrift over here for me. I stole the one that was supposed to be for Matt.
Yep.
Matt is with the Lime LaCroix.
I love Lime.
That's probably Lime LaCroix. I think has got to be the most.
It's like a
base.
It's like a special treat for me.
It's a base of the seltzer world. Ooh, you know what we were talking about over the weekend? You know, if there could be outside of a grocery service, if you just start a service that's just delivered seltzer waters, whatever you order, whatever seltzer water you want, and it just delivers it to the door. I think that could be a really good. I mean, because so many people drink seltzer waters.
I think it's called Amazon Prime.
Yeah, but this would be even easier. It's just an app. It's just an app. You would just get on the app and be like, "What seltzer water do we need right now?"
Yeah.
Boom, boom, and it's delivered the next day.
And Amazon Prime is like 2 days. We need this like
in a couple hours.
Kind of like your food delivery system. I'm sure someone would do grocery delivery day of.
I was thinking about retiring and starting that up here soon.
Okay,
so
get on it. I'll be your first customer because it happens to me all the time where I'm like, dang it, we're out of bubbly water.
And then you're like, got to plan to the next grocery trip. How nice would that be if you just flip open and you're like, oh, seltzer now, boom.
Yeah,
seltzer
now.
Made that up.
Seltzer now. Seltzernow.org.
Yep.
Every grocery store now does same day delivery, Evan.
Oh yeah, but this is better, Lance.
This is seltzer water delivery.
This is within hours,
now.
Lance. This is like
Oh,
unless you're wherever Lance is right now, and then it's going to be about a 7-day delivery, I think.
That's right.
I'm sure you're getting 24-hour deliveries right there. Amazon Prime it just directly to the van.
To the van.
Address van.
that voice you are hearing right now, the more popular of the two Matt Legrands, Mr. Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys look like you've got your shirt open on a beach somewhere.
Nice.
Because
Nice.
That's a subtle reference to the other Matt LeGrand that's on YouTube.
The other Matt LeGrand.
That's a real niche joke there.
I know,
that's a
right?
that's a super niche joke.
Everyone, like some new listener to our podcast, like, this is the weirdest podcast I've ever listened to.
I know.
Go to YouTube.
Also, are you objectively more popular than him now? I think you do have
No.
more subscribers, right?
I have, on YouTube, I'm significantly more popular than him.
Yeah.
4 times, I think.
But
has he moved on from YouTube, though?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's
probably on TikTok, isn't he?
He's probably on TikTok.
He probably is.
I don't know.
But he's got the body for a great
Instagram,
TikTok following.
On Instagram, he has like, I don't even remember how much it is. Probably like 50,000 followers.
Oh, seriously?
And I have less than 1,000.
Oh, so he's just cooler than YouTube.
Oh yeah, he's cooler
That's pretty
than YouTube.
cool. You have to be
I don't
really
actually know.
cool to be cooler than YouTube.
And so he's way cooler because, I mean, if you YouTube, like if you search for Matt LeGrand, like his stuff pops up like this artist or whatever.
Oh wow.
So that's hard.
That's tough to
That's
beat.
a bitter pill to swallow.
That is. You got to get onto TikTok now.
Okay, I'm on it.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna get on TikTok.
Yeah.
Take my shirt off. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll do whatever.
Take my shirt off and do product reviews.
Expect to see the Renegade dance on your YouTube channel.
Yeah. The other Matt LeGrand does.
I feel so old. The what? Hold on.
The Renegade.
Oh God.
Oh, this is something.
Is this a TikTok
daughter,
dance I don't know?
Yeah, my daughter. I don't know. It was a thing a while ago.
Was
I don't
it?
know.
Okay.
It's Renegade.
Okay.
And they do all their little Renegade dance. I'm probably making myself sound really
Jake
old
is
and
sounding
stupid
so
here. But
old.
I like to poke fun at my daughter, and I always like when she gets a little sassy with this. I always yell at her, "Renegade!" And like TikTok. I start like strike a pose or something like that, and it pisses her off, and I love it.
Oh yeah. So as soon as Matt gets on TikTok, there's going to be something else instantly. Like
Sure.
Matt will get on there, do one product review, and
kill
TikTok within that hour.
I don't know if I'm on TikTok, but I'm guessing I am. Let me see. This is riveting podcasting.
Riveting radio.
We just lost every listener under the age of 21. I'm
on TikTok, and I've got 3 videos.
Oh, nice. How many followers do you have? 3?
8 followers.
Oh, that's good.
Man.
Does that include family members?
You made 3 videos?
No, I didn't make 3. I used my own YouTube clips and just drop them in TikTok.
Oh, okay.
But I need to get back on here because these are old. So.
There's a lot of people on that app. I think it was probably one of the fastest growing apps ever, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, one of the things was that we were looking at this application, TikTok, to kind of inspire some other applications for unknown companies that I may or may not be working with for other stuff. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, how does this company do that? Or how does Pinterest do their navigation bar? Like, it's all those things where you're like trying to figure out best ways to tackle problems for UI. And TikTok does some good stuff, I suppose. So
crazy.
Ooh.
How about we backpedal? I'm gonna save Lance for last because he actually did stuff that was kind of cool.
Lance by far had the most exciting backpedal.
I can tell you mine will be the fastest backpedal.
We can
Evan's
make this
got
quick.
stories, so I'm gonna table him for just a second.
Yeah.
Matt,
Let's do
go. Me and you.
All right, I got nothing.
You went to the skate park?
I went to the skate park and I saw Evan at the skate park, but he was on a bike with Dustin. That was awesome to see you guys. I actually didn't recognize them. They were just rolling on like the sidewalk through this park, and I was walking and I was like staring to kind of like, you guys ever do this? You like stare down whoever's on a bike to kind of see what bike they're riding and stuff like that. So I was giving
every time.
I was giving Evan that eye, but then I had no idea that it was him until he was like, "Hey."
I know that guy.
I think I might have had like a mask on like a hood on. Like I was completely covered. I don't even know how you recognized me.
It's the eyes.
Was it the eyes?
It's the eyes.
Those are evil eyes.
I get to look into Matt's eyes a lot, so I would recognize him from 100 yards away.
Yeah, because I was stealth, and then I showed off Ethan skateboarding, like proud dad moment. I was like, these are the videos I've taken him of at the skate park.
That was the coolest part of my weekend.
Yeah.
Honestly, the coolest part of my weekend was seeing Ethan on a skateboard. That was awesome.
It was pretty cool. He's really into it, which is fun, and I think he's good, but I'm super biased. So then I think it was last night I was on Zwift. I actually rode outside that Saturday, but it was there's no story there.
It
I
was
just
a
rode
nice
around.
day.
I did climbed hills and Prune Hill. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no story there. I rode yesterday on Zwift and my iPad died.
Day 61.
Was it 61? I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
It died, and I thought I was in trouble because I thought I lost the ride or whatever, which, I mean, I guess I could just ride another hour. But I fired up my watch, so I don't know what the rules are, but we have to like combine 2 events
Oh, he's
First
still
drop.
Yeah.
Am I out? Out.
No, you're still in.
Yeah.
You're all good.
I feel like
you
this-
can combine them if you just want to make it nice and pretty. But if you post up like a ride for 45 minutes, another ride for 15 minutes, that works.
That's what it was basically. It was like 40 minutes and 30 minutes.
I've done that more than once. Done like a ride in the morning with the dog, and then finished the hour later in the day.
Oh,
that counts.
I figured
like
it had to be continuous for an hour, which
It's
this
total
still
for the
which this
24
still
hours.
was.
Yeah. I think he's safe.
What's the rule on that?
I think you're still getting a full hour in.
Okay.
As long as it's
Yeah.
within
If
that
it's split
that
up
24.
two 30 minutes. You do 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening.
You
good?
could do that, yeah.
Wow, I didn't even know that. I'm learning things. We're referring to our dialed 100 challenge, which is riding for an hour a day, every day for 100 days. That's the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I think it looks better if you get a full hour plus done.
Yeah.
This is my first time that I have one split up. and
Closing
if you
in on
look
the
at
last
it-
third here too.
Yeah,
Almost the
we're
last
getting there.
third.
You getting
Yeah.
nervous yet? Gonna have to be
Oh,
making me
yeah.
some dinner here. What?
I am the one person sitting at this table. If we want to assume that Lance's face is at this table too, that's not even close to dialed 100. I've taken multiple
Yeah,
days
but
off.
we
during
had a
this
little
100.
bet. You said I wasn't going to do it.
I know.
You were
I
like,
know.
Early
I'm
on, you said I
very
was gonna
nervous
falter,
right now.
So. Did ride 62 this morning.
If he's made it through the 100K mark, I'm pretty sure he's pretty much set now. I'm knocking on wood though, because I really don't want Jake to actually break that streak.
No.
That'd be bad.
When
Yeah,
would you like
I'm
me to
knocking
give you
on wood.
my menu selection?
By day 98, just because I want you to jinx yourself, and Jake will somehow sleep 24 straight hours and miss a day.
Yeah, I wish that would.
What a
If that
rip win
happened,
for-
I would be so happy.
Just give him a ton of Ambien one day.
Gladly.
I know. I could use sleep.
Right on. Anything else, Matt?
Are we backpedaling? Yeah, I've been working a ton. What do we? I haven't been sleeping a lot. I've been backpedaling. No, I've been working till like midnight every night, and then waking up and going right to the computer. It's been a long couple of days, but I am glad to be in here in the dialed cycling lab to take
Not
a
looking at a
breather.
computer screen.
Well, I mean, I take breaks here and there and do family stuff, and just I think I'm gonna get a vacation next week, so that'll be nice. I know they're gonna probably renege on that.
Staycation?
because It's gonna be I'm just gonna make some. I'll be
Not gonna
making
go to
some
Bahamas.
YouTube videos with my vacation time.
Nice.
So, how do you spend your vacation time?
Doing other things that
On the computer.
are,
On the computer, editing videos.
Evan, backpedal.
You do yours first. Backpedal.
You want me to go first? All right. I fell down the
I
stairs.
know one of the things that happened to you. I know. Yeah.
I forgot to tell you, I fell down on my ride on Saturday.
Oh God.
I say fell down because it wasn't a crash.
Just fall over?
I fell over. I think even the scratches I have are like healed up already. I fell over. It was like a slow fall. It was climbing up. Oh, Lance is showing off some ugliness.
Oh God.
Yep.
I don't have anything that bad.
Skin.
I was going super slow up this hill, and I was right on the edge of this road, and it just had one of those lips, and the roads were wet, and I kind of like
caught your front wheel into it.
Yeah, and the front wheel went off, and it was like into a ditch, and I was able to clip out of the left, which I didn't need to clip out of the left, but then I was able
fell
to,
to the right.
and then because I was falling to the right, and then I clipped out of the right one as well, but it was too late. I was already like ass over, sideways, and it was into a briar patch.
Oh God.
So then I like couldn't get up because I didn't have anywhere to put my hand to like get myself up, and I had to dig a couple of like thorns like out of my butt cheeks. So
That is hilarious. That's a rough one though, because like of all the places you're like, all right, we're going down, and there's a briar patch.
it was and it was such a slow motion fall. I got up, no one saw it, and I kind of just looked around, and I'm just like, man, whatever. I guess I get back on the bike and keep going.
There's not the bear in the car that pulls up next to you. You're like, you okay? You're like, yeah, I'm good.
No GoPro running when that happened?
No, that would have been good. It's embarrassing because there was no reason for me to fall over except for just like you slipped off the road.
You missed the road.
Come on, man.
You just missed the road.
And this was, I'm trying to remember like the Fargo Hill. There's like a split off of that where you can kind of go that weird,
I know what you're
almost
talking
like
about, yeah.
single lane road.
Yep.
And it's a steep hill over there. And so there's no traffic. I could have ridden all the way on the left side of the road wherever I wanted to, but nope, I'm right there on the edge of the road. Right next to that briar patch. Anyway,
ouch.
That's my back pedal.
Yeah, Saturday morning, took a tumble down the staircase.
No.
Yeah. Good times.
Like top to bottom. You didn't describe it all the way to me. Was it pretty much like
2/3?
75% of the staircase.
So here's what happened. I didn't slip. I'm walking down, and right. So for those that have somehow missed this. I got hit by a car a couple years ago, and I did a lot of damage. I broke all kinds of stuff and jacked up a bunch of things. One of the things that was a problem was my ankle. My ankle was broken, and it was nearly dislocated, and it tore cartilage on the top of the talus. And long story short, there's cartilage in there that sometimes will engage or get caught in there, and when that happens, my whole ankle gives way. It just completely just goes not limp, but just you lose the ability to stabilize yourself with your ankle. So I take a step down, and this is 6:30 in the morning. My wife is walking out from our kitchen right around to the base of the stairs, and she sees me coming down. And I take this step, and I didn't slip or anything, but the ankle gives way, causing me to kind of lose my my balance a little bit because all of my weight was on that foot because the other foot's coming down. And then what do? You grab the banister, right, to stabilize yourself so you don't crash.
Which is on your left side.
Which is on my left side. And my shoulder is a piece of crap. I grabbed the
right arm couldn't get there fast enough.
No, so I grabbed that, and it's haha, nice try. We got nothing for you. So there we go. Ass over tea kettle down the stairs. Bang, 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 bang. And I'm trying not to land on my left shoulder because I didn't want to damage that. And then jack up my right shoulder. My hip hurts. I kind of my left ankle already hurts from that little catch. And I ended up hitting and twisting my right ankle. So that's all swollen up. And my wife's just standing at the bottom going, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I'm like, yeah.
I need a minute. I need 10.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go sit at the desk and kind of gather myself here. So,
do you think our podcast in a couple years is just gonna be us talking about falling?
Remember I said earlier that we just lost every listener under 21. Yeah. Now we for sure lost every. It's Matt's I fell over on my bike. Jake fell down the stairs. We're talking about TikTok.
If you're 75 years or older, this is your podcast.
Oh yeah. We're going to kill it with the Medicare population here soon. Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
So I kind of gathered myself up, and I had to go meet with some people. I had to do a couple things, and I ended up going out to ride with the Martins. I wanted to go for a ride with Evan because I was invited to go on that ride, and I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome, but I had to go meet some people at the office. So anyway, went and rode with the Martins, and I was just a stiff wreck the entire ride for that. Still a fun ride. And then yesterday, I'm like, I want to ride outside, but I'm so sore and stiff.
Yesterday was a nice day, too.
Well, it was supposed to rain, but it never really did. And it ended up being a decently warm temperature, and the sun came out a few times. So ended up having to ride on the trainer there, so that kind of sucked. But rode on Zwift 5 times last week. It's already getting old, but
streak's still going.
Is what it is. And then I did a ride that was actually quite fun. I got on the gravel bike, and I went outside and left pretty much right when the sun was going down, and got to see a beautiful sunset. It was just a really beautiful night. Went down and rode to the Washougal Dike and did a little bit of work down there.
The picture you took from that was beautiful.
Yeah, we got to do some filming.
The picture was
stuff
real
like
nice.
that.
Yeah,
it's just so good.
So and then rode in the dark. That was actually quite fun.
To use a light.
Oh yeah. Brought my Garmin UT800, and that thing is super bright, and just went and kind of had fun. So I think that might be something that I try and put together with some people. If you have some safety out there with numbers, doing a night ride would be pretty fun. It doesn't have to be super late, but it's off road, and there's plenty of little gravel roads that you can ride on, and there are some short periods of time where you have to ride on the road, but it's not too bad. So maybe we can do some group night rides. Other than that,
Night Rider.
Yeah, other than that,
it's just my vision for that.
Just another week of knocking out 7 rides to stay on track for the Dialed 100. And I got up this morning. I'm going to start changing gears a little bit. I'm going to try and get my butt in there in
the morning.
Ride in the mornings just to get it out of the way.
That's a good idea.
Something like that. I just need to get acclimated to getting up. I wasn't early.
I've been trying to do the same thing.
7 o'clock this morning is when I went down there. I usually don't like to do that in the morning.
Yeah.
But I made myself start at 7, and tomorrow I'll try and go maybe at 6:30. And
your body will adapt in a week.
Oh yeah,
because I started a week ago. I was like, I'm gonna start doing intervals in the morning, and I was dreading it. It took 6 days later. It was the body was like, okay, fine, I guess we're doing this. So just
did you post some sort of group ride at 4:30 in the morning?
I did again this Thursday. Yeah. So me and Josh, I sent you an invite, Lance. You're gonna be able to make it.
I did. I got that, and no, will not be making that.
Of everybody I invite, I was like, I know one person who will not be at this ride. It is Lance.
I saw it, and I was like, oh, he just messed up the time zones or something.
That was right.
And then I was like, wait a minute, 4:30 it's pretty early. But it's not
Thursdays
insane.
have become a pretty busy clinic day now, so me and Josh are doing hard group ride Thursday things. By group ride now, I mean it's basically just me and Josh together on Zwift. Nobody else is going to join us at that time.
Evan, backpedal.
So that was probably the first thing was, so this week I was getting back into it after taking a week down from running. Running was feeling great. Even got back in the pool feeling great. Thursday got up early and did Alpe de Zwift race with Josh, which was good.
And so are you going to the pool on Thursdays also?
What was it? What Tuesday was the pool day. It's going to be like Monday, Tuesday, and then probably 1 or 2 days over the weekend too.
Gotcha.
In the future. But yeah, Saturday we decided that we were going to get into a long gravel ride. Dustin and I were going to get just a sec.
Your headphones not working?
Yeah, I'm cutting in and out.
Cutting in and out, huh?
Well, just you can take them off. No, you'll still.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, there you go.
Exhilarating.
We
cool.
can hear you well.
We're gonna splice it together. No, I think you're good now.
Okay.
I'll tell. Nope, it just did it again.
Yeah. Well, you can just take your headphones off and tell us about your thing. You and Dustin were going out. That's when I saw you at the skate park.
Yeah. So, I want to make sure you guys can hear me fine.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Good.
Yep.
That was worst storytelling ever over here. But so Dustin and I decided, Dustin put together a really, really cool gravel ride that we were going to do Saturday. So we went up past Large, past the penitentiary, down towards Elkhorn Mountain, and then all the way over to the south side of Bell's Mountain around here. These are all like peaks in east of Vancouver, Washington, northeast of Vancouver, Washington.
North of Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, which is, I mean, pretty rural, very rural areas, like very isolated areas. Really cool kind of rolling mountains through this region, though, all the way to like the south side of Yakult. So we didn't quite cross the road, but we, get to the south side of Yakult Mountain and then loop back down to get back home, coming by Larch. So we get out there, having a great ride. It's beautiful weather. We're, both feeling great. So we're pushing when we want to push and taking it easy when we want to take it easy. Dustin has become, very, very good at the piecing these gravel routes together through there because it's not too easy. Like Lance knows, you got to kind of know where you're going to piece some of this area together.
You do, yeah.
And we're coming down through just before you get to a trail that links up to Lucia Falls, Lance, which you probably have been right around that area. You come off the gravel and now you're on the road. There's a pretty steep descent coming down. Yeah. And we're, descending fine. Like there was nothing too sketchy going on. It's not like we were trying to take a KOM or anything. But we hit a really slick area and Dustin kind of moved over to the side a bit to get away from it. I didn't see it too well, and it was car oil, apparently. That was over this one area. And it's going into a left, so I'm already kind of in that tilted position, starting to feather the brakes for a second. And I never really liked looking at the speed before a crash, but I knew we were going fast. When I checked it later, I was touching about 40 when front wheel just slides straight down, hit the ground before you even know what's going on. I first thought I for sure broke my arm. I thought that's kind of the first thought because the arm took basically everything. Head did okay. Like I don't think helmet got checked 2-3 times. We looked at there was nothing on the helmet. Definitely had some whiplash just from how hard I think I went down, just not being able to really brace. Because you couldn't really, and Lance knows too, like there was not a moment to brace for it because the bike hit the car and just went straight down. Hit the left hip again, that just become the MO. I think my left hip is just like breaking all these falls, which is fine. But
no, Evan.
Yeah, I tried to adrenaline, get up and be like, okay, we good, can bear weight on the hip, and got real lightheaded and need to lay back down. Funny story, Matt, I laid right into something sharp and looked down. I was like, it was like a vine or whatever. I just laid straight into it, which is why the back of my shoulder is all scratched up because I just basically laid right into a thorn bush. But yeah, Dustin came back up. He was pretty worried, which is you never like to hear him say that he heard you hit the ground, which is not good. But yeah, kind of gathered myself. We got the bike back up. Somehow the bike was okay, except the skewer was bent. So we had to bend the skewer. We really weren't in an area where somebody can just easily come and pick you up.
Did you have cell service where you were at?
No. Neither of us had cell service. So we, got the bike back together, which was somehow the bike was okay. I'm for sure bringing it before I touch that bike again. But Rode it around a bit. We did a couple tension tests on the skewer to make sure that, hey, this thing's like, we're not getting on this next gravel section unless this thing can take it. And got back on. I was wearing a long sleeve jersey. I didn't even want to look at I let Dustin look at my elbow. I wasn't even going to look at the elbow. It felt bad, and there was enough blood soaking going through the jersey. I was like, we're going to leave that one for a bit. So rode, finished the ride. Actually, the legs felt great the rest of the ride. I think I may have PR'd up from the penitentiary climb coming back through Larch on my gravel bike. So feeling fine, got back home, decided this is where I kind of knew I'm feeling much better today, but I think my decision making was not wonderful, which I'm sure everybody at this table has had, but I've had quite a few concussions in the past, and I know when my decision making gets bad, I'm post-concussive a little bit. And I decided to be a great idea after Dustin had alcohol spray everything and then hosed me off. I was like, okay, I think I'm good to go and run now. So I took my bandana and cinched my arm off and went to the gym, which was completely empty, thank God. I'm going to tell this story nobody ever did. This is just so dumb. But went running on a treadmill, started to realize that the bandana was blood-soaked all of a sudden, and realized I was like, oh, we're stopping this run. Stop the run, get myself out of the gym, walking out with, I'm sure the employees there were like, what is this very strange man who's bleeding out of his elbow doing right now? Went and decided then I was going to drive and go get a donut at Angel's Donut. I really have no idea where my hat, kind of coming in and out a little bit. I'm going to be honest. Do
you remember all of this stuff clearly?
Not really. Kind of a little spotty. I called my little brother actually, and he did tell me later. He's like, you weren't sounding super clear on the phone. So
do you have any memory loss?
Not of the crash or anything like that. I remember all of that perfectly fine. I did call. I have a very close friend of mine who was a doc, and I called him that night, and we talked through all the symptoms. And on another unlucky side note, I get to be the unlucky backstory here today, or backpedal. Later in the ride, I decided I was going to pull my glasses up, and of course, about 8 seconds after that, a rock flies and hits me right in the right eye, which later that night swelled up to where I could not open my eye actually. So that is cleared up today, 48 hours later, after saline washes over and over again. But needless to say, I did not get on the bike yesterday on Sunday.
So this is kind of a funny thing real quick. We put out a video about gravel riding.
Yeah.
This past week, right? Mm-hmm. And everything that you're talking about, I'm hearkening back to this video that Lance and I did, talking about like the type of tires you want, talking about eye protection, talking about having the InReach little SOS deal in case you have a crash and incident. And like, what else did you do that we could talk about?
This is exactly. So number one thing, if you're experiencing concussion symptoms, probably have a buddy drive you home. Don't go run afterwards. I was in such a bad decision-making place. I was even thinking in my head while I was on the treadmill, could I go get some second skin and try to swim? That was like where my head was at. Whenever I get into off-season training mode, it's like I've had crashes in off-season training, and it's always just like, okay, how do you get to the run? How do you get to the bike? Make sure everything's wrapped up. What I wasn't realizing is how deep this elbow cut was. So I got home, and it was, anybody who's ever had those deep gashes before, it was into the adipose tissue, so well through the dermal layer. Was pretty numb around that area too, which tells me it was probably into the neurovascular supply too. So obviously not a situation where you should be going and biking and running that next day afterwards. But outside of that, laid on the couch Sunday and contemplated why I like to bike ride, and then woke up this morning and decided to get on the bike, and everything's better. But yeah,
jeez.
So that was my week.
So 3 weeks ago, was that the Ironman?
Yeah. Yeah.
2 weeks ago, you went down on the road bike.
Yeah.
This past week, you went down on the gravel bike.
Yeah.
You've had a rough 3 weeks, buddy.
It's been, I'll tell you what.
I got a mountain bike you can borrow.
I might as well make it 3 for 3. I just take the mountain bike and go down on that too. But yeah, just, the fun thing about this podcast is I hope if anybody's having a couple rough weeks out there, just laugh about it and keep on moving on. I've gone time periods where I've gone almost a whole year without crashing before. So I know when it rains, it pours. Sometimes it'd be one thing if I could point to it and be like, God, I really need to work on my bike handling descending. But I really have worked on that this last year. And sometimes when you hit car oil, there's just nothing you can do about it. But
are you able to see really well when you're on the bike? I know that you're blind as a bat. And you're wearing your glasses? Or were you?
I decided to wear my contacts again this last time because I can see a little better with my contacts since we were going to be on gravel.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure if that would have helped me much in this situation, just because I'm following Dustin, and just the way we were taking the line, it was such a quick adjustment. It would have been, I'm not even sure if I would have been able to realize it was car oil in time to get out of the way.
How close were you sitting on his wheel on this descent?
Not too close, maybe 10, 20 feet back.
Gotcha. You just weren't able to sight it in time.
No,
gotcha.
no. And it was one of those things where it's kind of in the shadows too. So it was like as you get there, you realize it, but it wasn't like there was sun shining on the area to where you can see from a ways away.
Just bad luck. Yep.
Yeah.
It happens.
Holy cow. Thankfully, you weren't hurt worse.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I am absolutely fine for how bad that could have been. So, yeah. Especially being in the middle of nowhere.
And add insult to injury, your lovely girlfriend was out of town this weekend and unable to help you through this wonderful decision-making process of doing all these extracurricular activities. Huh?
It was, yeah. Yeah, Saturday evening was funny, so... Yeah.
Jeez,
Thank God I already had dinner in the fridge. That would have been fun to try and order dinner. I probably would have ordered $40 worth of something because I was so hungry. But
Mr. Hepler, you've been a busy man. What have you been up to?
Yeah,
we haven't talked to you in a couple weeks.
It's been a couple weeks. Yeah. First off, let me just say that every time I have created a segment and gotten the KOM, and if I'm the only person, I tend to delete the segment. Afterwards. I got called out last week for having KOMs on segments where there was nobody else on them, so it's all good.
There were a couple where there were probably 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, there were a few. Well, it's funny. You guys are talking about, why don't you go for the most KOMs of anybody? A couple years ago, Strava put out a thing where they said this is the person who has the most KOMs, and he had about 2,500.
Oh my gosh!
And I looked through his list, and most of them were weird, obscure segments that he was the only person on. And so I'm like, okay, they actually didn't even really look at that very closely, but whatever. Anyway, yes, this last week I was in Utah. The week before that I was in Idaho. We have just been having a fantastic time riding around, but the big thing I did this weekend is I raced my bike again. I did the Belgian Waffle Ride, which is a gravel race, and it was based in Cedar City, Utah this year. Belgian Waffle Ride is it's been going on for about 10 years, based out of San Diego, down in the San Diego counties. This year they decided to expand and include 3 races. The San Diego race, one, I think it was in Georgia around Atlanta, and then one in Utah. But the California one and the Georgia one were both canceled until next year. But Utah is kind of on their own program, and so they looked at everything and decided that the race could probably still go on if they stuck to certain protocols. So it was pretty interesting. It was a good time.
It had a pretty incredible start list too.
Yeah. Keegan Swenson, Peter Stetina, Dylan Johnson, TJ Eisenhart, Sam Long, Heather Jackson, Kai Applequist, the vegan cyclist, Chris Bagg. There was a ton of hitters. Brian McCullough, Ryan Standish.
Ben Hoffman was there too. Yeah.
No way, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The women had, Heather Jackson and Long and Evelyn Dong and Casey Armstrong. I mean, there were some big hitters that came to it. This race is usually about 1,200 or 1,500 people. There were only 600 that came because a lot of people just pushed their entry to the next year and weren't comfortable with the COVID situations, and they had us go through quite a few precautions to make sure it was safe. With registration and masks and social distancing. In the start chute, they made us all spread out so we weren't within 6 feet of anybody else, and you had to start in a certain section. And so, and we had to wear our masks for like the first 6 miles. There was a neutral rollout for the first 6 miles through town before we hit a spot where things could kind of open up. And you had to wear your mask every time. Every time you went through an aid station, you had to wear a mask. So, and you had to sign a waiver saying, no, I don't have COVID. No, I haven't been around anybody who's tested positive recently. No, it was all on your honor stuff. So
that's good.
Interestingly enough, yeah, I mean, they did a lot of good things. There's still going to be some hate or some racing shaming going on.
Sure.
From people who did it, saying, is this really responsible to have a mass start race in during a pandemic? That's just not a look that looks good. And I don't know. We'll see how it all goes. I actually felt pretty good about the restrictions and things that were happening and what they had us do. So regardless, the race went great for me. There was two versions of the race. There's a 125-mile version with that was like 80% gravel, and then there was a 78-mile version that was also about 80% gravel. I did the 78-mile version. I chose to do I called it the kiddie race because it was the shorter, easier version. I had a teammate there with me. Chris Surratt came out. We spent a couple days before that pre-riding like the difficult sections. There were a couple of terribly difficult sections on this race. One, a 2-mile climb with 1,100 feet of elevation gain.
Wow.
That topped out at 23%, and the top like half mile was through 3 or 4 inches of like moon dust uphill, 23%. It was super hard. And there was another 4.5 mile section that was on a mountain bike single track, not built for gravel bikes. Very difficult section, lots of rocks and twists and turns and hairpins. And so it was good to have Chris there. His wife came, Corey. My wife was there, Brandy. They were there supporting us. It just all went super good. The way the start worked was there was about 400 people in the long version and about 200 people in the short version. And all 400 of the long people started first. So I started behind all those 400 people. But once we hit the open road, we just had a different color nameplate. And my day just went super good. I ended up, out of those 200 people, I ended up taking third overall, which was
That's crazy.
That's huge.
It was a complete shock. It was it was really quite surprising. I really had no idea that I was that far up in the race because everybody was mixed and I couldn't tell who was doing the short and who was doing the long. I made an effort. The first 30 miles, there was a bunch of gravel and then a big dirt section. And every time I hit one of the hills, I kind of attacked at every one of the hills to try to move up as far as I could. And I ended up getting within about 2 minutes of the lead group of the pro racers doing the long version. But during the race, I didn't realize I was up that far. But once the two races split at the 50-mile mark, I ended up with one other guy who works and rides for NV Composites, and the two of us were like, "Are you doing the short version?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I am too." And so we actually worked together for the next about hour and a half because we couldn't see. There was nobody else. Nobody else caught us. Nobody else was in front of us. We couldn't see anybody. We had no idea where we were, that we were so far up in the race. I actually didn't know I took third until I crossed the finish line, and Frankie Andreu, who was doing the announcing, said, "And that's our third place finisher from the Dialed Cycling." I was like, "What?"
Wow.
So,
Frankie Andreu was announcing that?
He was doing the announcing.
Seriously?
Yeah.
For Belgian Waffle? Is he part of the ownership for Belgian Waffle?
I have no clue.
Wow.
I have no idea.
That's a name from the past right there.
Yeah. So, and he was like,
Wasn't Lance doing the race too? Lance Armstrong?
No.
I thought Lance Armstrong was
wasn't
at
there.
that race. Okay, gotcha.
But it was funny. I call it the kiddie race because the
100-mile.
short version was won by a 17-year-old.
Oh.
And the short version women's race was won by a 14-year-old.
Oh my god.
A 14-year-old rode 70 whatever miles on gravel.
Yeah.
Hard
Correct.
gravel. Crazy
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody sign her
Not-
like right now. Like she
Yeah.
should be getting paid for that. That's
Freaking amazing. Well, it's like I crossed the finish line and Frankie Andreu looks at me. He's like, "You just won the 45 to 54 age group. How old are you?" And I'm like, "I'm 50." And he's like, "Somebody's been doing their training this winter."
Yeah, dude.
So
You got a
So
shout
that
out
was,
from Frankie Andreu. Whew, Lance.
I did.
That's impressive. Did you tell him that your name was Lance? And he was like, "Forget it. I hate you."
I decided not to push the issue a little bit. What was funny is during the award ceremony, they had an award ceremony. They brought the top 3 up onto the stage, and Frankie Andrew was passing out the prizes, the awards. And I got up there, and everybody's wearing masks, but I took my mask off, and I was twisting my mustache like Peter Stetina, and taking a bow on the stage. I'm just being an idiot, okay? Because I just was trying not to take it too seriously because I just did the kiddie race. I didn't do the real one, so I'm just going to make fun of myself. And I had my mask off, and I twist my mustache, and Frankie yells at me from behind, "Hey, dude, put your mask on while you're here on the stage." I said, "Oh, sorry, Frankie." Okay. So he jetted me a little bit.
Got complimented and scolded by Frankie Andreu in the same
that's
hour
correct.
period. That's
Yeah. So it ended up being a pretty cool day. It was fantastic to have my wife there and Chris Surratt there.
Speaking
and
of Chris,
Chris's wife there.
He did the longer version, correct?
He did. My race took me about 4 hours and 20 minutes. I think one of the reasons I went fast, I had enough stuff in my chase vest. I did not have to stop at any aid station.
Yep.
I rolled through every single aid station.
smart for only 72 miles. Yeah.
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 I think people
I had
don't like that.
Yeah. And Chris was doing the long version. And I actually, even though he started ahead of me, I caught him at a section, and we were able to ride together for about 20 miles, which was great. We had nobody else around us. We caught one of the women's leaders, and so we had her jump in with us, and the 3 of us were working for about 20 miles together, which was kind of nice. But then our races split, and it went from there.
Didn't you say Chris hung with Sam Long for a bit at one point, didn't he?
Yeah. Sam Long had some kind of...
He took a wrong turn.
Yeah.
he went 10 miles out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Smart
Yeah,
cookie. Smart cookie there.
How did Heather Jackson do?
She
Heather
did great.
Jackson, she took third.
Third,
overall.
I think, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the long
She
one?
did fantastic in the long one.
Yeah.
That means
So she did great. Surratt ended up doing it in just over 7 hours and 20 minutes or
Seriously?
8 minutes. I can't remember.
Damn.
Yeah, Surratt did really well. He was
Good job,
I
Chris.
think 17th in his age group, which was stacked. His age group is stacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he rode. I think he finished just behind Chris Bagg from Portland, who came out and did the race, and
Chris.
then yeah, and also Sam Long, who was out there as well. So yeah, it was just super cool for us to all be there and yelling and everything. So it was fun. The other cool thing, Molly Cameron, we've talked about her on the podcast. She drove out to just take some video and interview people, and she saw me the morning of the race and came over and gave me a big hug and is like, "Oh, this is so cool. I'm so glad you're here." And she interviewed me right before the race started, and she was there right when I finished and when I found Brandy, and she interviewed me there too. So she's putting together a video for the race as well. So
Nice.
it was cool stuff.
That's really cool. Man, I'll tell you what, I think we just need to move the podcast to Utah.
Sounds good there.
It sounds great over there.
Yeah, we've had a great couple weeks here. We're going to stay here for another week or so. There's a cyclocross race this Saturday that I'm hoping still happens. And so I'm going to stick around for that. And then I might be home for a few days.
Oh, a few days.
Woo!
Wow.
We'll have to plan a podcast around whatever your schedule is.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
To get a ride outside together.
Any other questions about that? I've been riding every single day and having a ton of fun, but
you got the opportunity to chat with a few people, didn't you? Or meet a few people?
Yes. I met the vegan cyclist.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He had a great day. He was top 30, wasn't he?
He was top 30. He stuck with the lead group for a good part of the day until it got really difficult, but I was able to go up and introduce myself and talk with him a bit, and he was really cool about stuff. And so I talked with him. I met Dylan Johnson as well. We've talked about his YouTube videos. He took fourth overall.
Wow, that's impressive.
In the long race.
Strong kid.
So
yeah, because it was, Keegan Swenson won, Peter Sedena was second. Who was third?
Yep. Andrew, Alexi Vermeulen. I actually don't know who that is. Alexi Vermeulen was third.
Alexi Vermeulen used to be. Oh, this is crazy. I'm pretty sure I know this. He used to be an ITU racer, Matt.
Oh, really?
Young kid. Yeah.
Wow.
Alexi. How old does he say it is, Lance? He'd be in his 20s now.
He's 25 to 34 age group. That's all I can see.
Yeah, he's probably 25, 26 now. If that's the kid I'm thinking of. Yeah. That's awesome. Glad to see him still out there doing stuff.
It's crazy that many people are at that race.
Yep. Alexi Vermeulen. Oh, I may be thinking of some. Hold on. Yeah, no, he's a professional mountain biker now. I'm pretty sure this kid used to do triathlon. Anyway, yeah. Wow, good job.
Yeah, I got to meet a lot of those people and have conversations with them, and yeah, it was all good. So
sweet. Anything else?
No. I mean, I did a whole bunch of other riding, and I know what I want to talk about. My buddy Cam Nosler. He's one of my college buddies.
Yeah.
He actually, I've talked about him before. He's a pilot for Southwest Airlines, but he lives in St. George, which is just about an hour from Cedar City. And we had been staying at his house for a couple days because he was gone. He let us stay in his house, which was awesome. He owns a very small, lightweight, two-seater prop plane. And about 35 miles into the race, I look up, and there is Cam's little two-seater plane. He was following me on the race course.
What? Seriously?
He got in his plane in St. George, flew to the race, looked on Find My Friends app, found out where I was, and he says, I think I saw you and Surratt. You guys were both riding together with one other person, and he followed us for a little while. My wife said, she's like, what is that? There's a plane up there flying awfully low, and he keeps circling around weird. And it was my buddy. It was my buddy Cam Nosler.
Your own personal drone. Did he take some pictures of you?
Yeah. I don't think so. I don't know, because it was windy, and so he was concentrating on flying the plane, which is good.
Man, I'd be up there throwing water balloons at you and taking pictures and flying a banner saying "Go Lance Romance."
That's right. So shout out to Cam for having my own personal helicopter follow Cam. So that was kind of fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right on. How about some Leadout news? Did Champ Bailey do that right? Is he out there with you?
Champ Bailey is right here sitting. I'm not going anywhere.
He's been in the middle of Utah. Has Champ Bailey actually been able to keep track of what's been going on?
I have been more or less kind of keeping up with things. Okay. First, let me just tell the story about the Belgium Waffle Ride, the lead men, because it was quite interesting. Keegan Swenson, who is a professional mountain biker, he's actually from Utah, just returned from the World Championship cross country race in, where was it? Switzerland? I think it was. I don't know.
Sure.
It was in Europe. It was in Europe somewhere. Just returned. Decided, oh, what the heck? I'll go down and do this Belgium Waffle Ride. During the neutral rollout section, everybody was riding about 10 bikes wide, but there was a tunnel we had to go through that was only about 5 bikes wide. And so big pinch point, everybody like pinched down, and Keegan Swenson tangled with a rider next to him, and it broke his front brake lever. So we're 5 miles into a 125-mile ride, and he broke his front brake lever. So he did not have front brakes. And but Keegan rode with Peter Stetina. They were battling back and forth. He was still able to do the whole thing. But once Peter, the last 4 miles were actually on a bike path through the city, and it was a little sketchy. The bike path was blocked off, so it was just the racers, but it wasn't like a good spot to race. And Peter and Keegan were together and said, okay, let's just go through this section together and we'll just sprint it out at the end. And so that's what they decided to do. And Keegan Swenson out sprinted Peter Stetina. So it was pretty awesome to see. And so we were they were out there almost 6 hours, and they were separated by a half a second.
Wow.
In this gravel race. So that was kind of exciting.
League above.
The women's race.
Those two.
Yeah. It was just a whole different ball game. The women's race, I need to get this right because the women was won by Rose Grant, who is a mountain biker, rides for Stan's Pivot team. And second was Kathy Pruitt. And, Heather Jackson wasn't third. I think she was fourth.
She was fourth. Yeah, I just looked at that a second ago. Yeah.
And Crystal Anthony from Live Giant was third. So pretty crazy. So that was the Belgium Waffle Ride. And there was some hate from around in the Twitterverse, but whatever.
I'm sure.
We'll see what happens.
I'm sure Phil Guyman was probably not a big fan of it. I know he's been pretty vocal about not wanting rides, mass start rides. So,
well, there was a lot of big names that didn't come to the race, and I'm sure that's why. That could have, but it's all good. Yeah. Moving on to monuments, we had the Tour of Flanders yesterday or 2 days ago, and oh my gosh, what a race! It was phenomenal. Near the end, the three big names broke away from the group, which was Wout van Aert and Matthew Van Der Poel and Julian Alaphilippe.
It was Julian that made the move too. It was everybody was following Julian actually. The race split apart when Julian went, and it was Wout was actually left out for a second. So MVP caught Julian, and then Wout had to bridge. I think something happened about he got caught up with some of the other riders or something, and Wout was the one who had to bridge that, which I'm sure was a ridiculous 3 minute. I'm sure if anybody was looking at that power profile was ridiculous, but then those three had to get away from a group of like 8 behind them, basically.
Yeah, and they got 30 or 40 seconds ahead of them, but they ended up coming up close to a motorcycle. Julian Alaphilippe was in third position, and they just kind of misjudged where the motorcycle was, and Alaphilippe ended up hitting the back of the motorcycle, going over the handlebars, and hurt himself. Was done with the race, and his season is done.
Fractured his wrist. He's done.
Yeah. He's having like metatarsal surgery or something crazy.
Also, that was metacarpal surgery. But yeah, So that, in my opinion, was actually MVP being a little dirty there. That was
blocking.
Yeah. So MVP was Wout kind of goes to draft off the motorbike, and the motorbike slows down so that they can't draft off him. So Wout goes appropriately over to the left. MVP stayed to the very last second and then swerves his bike really quickly, which if Julian had even been a little bit cross-wheeling, MVP would have slapped his wheel. Like, that's how quick it was. Mm-hmm. And then Julian has to make a quick decision because he was reaching down for a bottle a second ago, tries to swerve, and hits the motorcyclist's shoulder. So he hits the motorcyclist's shoulder, and that throws him off, and then he just flies over the handlebars. That was... I don't know. I mean, like, MVP had a great sprint. There was nothing else afterwards. Like, when he beat Wout, that was just heads up he beat him. But that was a kind of dirty moment. I didn't like seeing that. Yeah. That was not cool. But
that was too bad to see. it ended up coming down to a sprint, and it was just what we all wanted to see, which was Matthew Van Der Poel versus Wout van Aert. Wout was behind Van Der Poel, and they were both just staring at each other, trying to decide when to sprint. With about 200 meters to go, they both just took off, and Van Der Poel ended up out-leaning him at the finish. My dog is freaking out right now because there's dogs outside the van. Sorry. So it was exciting to see, and Van Der Poel ended up winning, and they shared like a hug afterwards. And these two have been battling each other since they were like 13 and 14 years old. So they know each other very well. They make a lot out of their rivalry. I think they're still kind of friends, but whatnot. So anyway, that was exciting. Tour of Flanders was fantastic.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of races between those two.
Yeah, there
are.
A lot more.
Been a lot.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be a ton.
The other big racing was in the Giro d'Italia. There was a lot of drama this last week. During one of the testing days, 11 riders and staff tested positive, including Kreiswick. There were two or three riders on Jumbo Visma. So Jumbo Visma completely pulled out of the race. There were a couple riders on Mitchelton Scott, and that team completely pulled out of the race. And there were so many, with those two teams gone, Jonathan Vaughters of Education First kind of went to the people and said, hey, you guys should just cancel this. We should not keep racing, but they didn't cancel it. So they're still racing. The Giro's still going on. There's not nearly as many people. Right now,
hopefully
Almeida.
the women's race still happens too. I know I was seeing some interviews with the women because that's during the last week. It'll be in Milan, I'm pretty sure. It will be the women's Giro race. Yeah.
Hopefully that will still work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So right now, Yao Almeida from the Kuna Quickstep, he's still in the lead, and Wilco Kelderman is in second, and Jai Hindley is in third. So some interesting names that are up near the front of that, because it seems like the Giro this year is all the B squad, not
A
racers. So.
Actually, from the last stage, I think Wilco's team looks. I think Sunweb looks the strongest right now, and Almeida I think is going to start losing some chunks of time to him.
What do you think about the Vuelta? What do you think? You think that's going to be less of a B race?
I think so. Yeah, I think the Giro was the B race this year.
Yeah, seems like it.
The C race, honestly. I mean, like no disrespect to Almeida and Wilco Kelderman, but if you put Wilco Kelderman in the last selection at the Tour de France, he's getting dropped off very early in that climb. So, yeah.
Well, the end of it overlaps with the beginning of the Vuelta, and so you couldn't do all three Grand Tours this year anyway. So people who probably did the Tour de France are going to be doing the Vuelta and skipping the Giro. So. Yeah. I think that's what kind of happened. Yeah. So, other than that, that's all the racing I got with bike racing. I don't know if anything else happened in the triathlon or running or swimming world.
Nothing really from the triathlon world, except that there's some drama right now on a PTO, the Professional Triathlon Organization, is organizing their championship, which is going to be in Daytona, Florida. And
triathlon talk.
That was a 100% mistake, but it was actually kind of funny. I was trying to do something else.
I'll go and check out and go do office work now.
No. That's right.
Hey, at least it wasn't.
Might as well do something,
Honest to God, I didn't mean to do that. I'm finishing what you were saying. I was trying to adjust some volumes over here. My finger barely touched that button. That was funny, though.
PTO is organizing a championship race in Daytona, which they had done a race there last year. This year it's going to be their first, I guess, championship. But their qualification system is causing a lot of drama right now.
Looks like it's just like who we
it's
like.
It's an absolute crapshoot. They're trying to take short course guys into the long course game, which they should, because those short course guys are faster than most of the long course guys. But their qualification system was almost a complete lie. They haven't given Sam Long a slot yet, which is absolutely ridiculous. Like the guy went and won the races they organized, and they're like, oh, well, we're not sure if you want to qualify. And they give a slot to guys like Henry Schumann and Johnny Brownlee, who, don't get me wrong, are the fastest guys in the world. But Henry Skuman hasn't put down a race result in a while.
Also, those guys may not show. I mean,
yeah. So it's just they're being so weird with it. But hopefully Daytona will happen soon. In cycling triathlon news, Lionel Sanders is about to put down an hour record attempt for the Canadian hour record, I think, which is held by, oh God, I should know who holds that.
Don't know.
But anyway, he's doing it, I think, in the near future. I think it's in the next couple weeks.
Indoor velodrome?
Indoor velodrome,
okay.
Yeah, he's already got his bike. Actually, he got a really cool YouTube video up with his bike.
Yeah, I haven't really watched
canyon.
it. But
What's going on with him and
bike.
the Mount Lemon little saga?
That's been
over for
pretty
now.
much over. I don't think Sam Long's going to go after that again. And honestly,
I bet you they will this winter. They'll go to
Probably.
Tucson again. And what do you do in Tucson? What are you going to do there?
Go after Mount Lemon.
KOMs.
I still think, as strong as Sam Long is, I just don't bet against Lionel Sanders in any situation. I just don't. I think if Lionel's there, he's going to be a guy who's going to be competing for the win in basically any race he does now. Yeah, he's pretty darn strong.
He's a good athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he gets the hour record on the track for Canada and then goes
I'll be
drops a
like,
mid
mystified.
14s 5K, the same like training block, he's pretty terrifyingly strong now. Yeah. Whew. Daytona will be fun though. That'll be kind of the next try update. It'll just be Daytona's result, and that's basically it for the year.
Yeah.
There's really nothing else.
Cool.
Be a lot more exciting.
Arizona was this past week. Arizona half was this past weekend.
Oh yeah, Scott Goodrich.
One of
our local guys.
Local superstar broke 5 hours.
Broke 5 hours
on a hot day.
Very hot day.
And then they'll have the Ironman. They'll have the Arizona full Ironman in a couple weeks, which theoretically
Scott's planning on going out and racing too. So
we'll see. Yep.
How did that go down out there in Arizona? Was it pretty well organized?
Scott said it was pretty good. Like he said, Ironman was really organized with it. That's kind of what I was picturing. Kind of like with the Belgian Waffle Ride, is there's so many people involved with that it's going to be pretty well run and well distanced and all that. So
gotcha.
Yeah, no bad news out of there yet. So hopefully that stays that way.
How did Scott do overall?
He was, I think, 13th or 14th in his age group.
Yeah,
I was saying.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well done, Scott.
He had a good bike split. He had like 2:23 on the bike, which is strong, and then ran pretty
solid.
consistent after that, which was good.
His swim, I know he can swim better. His swim was off.
Yeah, and he's been working on his swim. Scott knows that.
He's like, no,
in the
no,
pool
I don't
working
swim
hard.
that fast, and I'm like, you are a pretty good swimmer.
Yeah, he can get there. He can get there. Yeah.
And then on the run, he had like strained his calf like 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
And so he still ran pretty well. He ran like 7:30s.
Ran 7:30s. Yeah.
Yep. So
yeah,
good job, Scott. We're proud of you.
Good job.
Right on. How about a Patreon update?
Patreon.
We have a new patron.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep. Friend of the show. Actually, I think I'm the only one who kind of knows this gentleman. He actually lives up in the Seattle area. His name's Rob Buck. He is now a Patreon. He stumbled onto our podcast, has started listening. He's reached out a couple times, and he came into town and made it a point to stop by and say hi and introduce himself.
Nice.
So, that's nice.
Yeah, what a name, too. That's a name for radio. That's awesome.
Rob Buck.
Cool. None of us have names for radio.
No,
that's nice. I need to bring Rob on.
Just want to thank Rob for becoming the latest Patreon. He's now added to the list of patrons. We have Tintin Quarantino. Still kind of want to know who that is. Mr. Chris Weirman, Mike Hamness, John Hoffman, Mike Back, Champ Bailey, and the real Champ Bailey, the Hamness family, Dove Eric, Scott Troutman, Mark Radford, Chris Surratt, Chris Hitchcock, Laura Anderson, and the Wick family. Wanted to say thank you to all of them for being patrons. If you yourself would like to become a patron, go to dialedpodcast.com and click on the Patreon link there, and that'll kind of walk you through it.
Yeah.
So thank you. This show is already getting pretty long, but we're going to squeeze in our topic for the day. You guys ready? How about this? Tips, tricks, and items that will help you stay fit through the winter. What do you guys got? Tips, tricks, and items.
Got a trainer.
Get a trainer?
Get a trainer that can do erg mode.
Okay. I think I'm going to recommend something that I haven't even tried or used, but the GABA jersey from, let's see, who makes
Castelli.
that product? Castelli, thank you.
Yep.
Everyone says that thing's great. Having the right clothing to wear when the weather's cold, where you can bike outside, I think is critical.
I have one of those, and it does work really well.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to invest in one.
It's not 100% waterproof, but it's good for like 3 hours and inside. If you go beyond that, or if you're just in full-on torrential downpour, it's going to get through, but it's still going to kind of act like a little bit like a wetsuit, keeping you warm.
Yeah.
So works pretty slick. We've got some jacket jersey things from DNA too. They
They're
kind of work in that same vein. So
I was needing to get one here soon, actually. I was going to grab one this week.
Going back to the clothing, though, as they say, there's no such thing as bad weather. There's just bad clothing choices. So there's probably a company out there for just about everything that makes really good stuff that can really help you.
Secret of layering. Layering.
Yeah.
Do it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Gloves, too, are really... That's like probably the most I think for years I messed around with just really, really bad. I just like not even gloves that were made for cycling. And then I got my first pair of like actual cycling winter gloves a couple years back.
You're like game changer.
Oh, yeah. And it was once, of course, I moved away from Ohio when I remember at that time I was wearing like your old like ski glove
Cotton
thing.
gloves.
Oh, yeah. Just terrible cotton. They get wet and be like, I can't feel my hands like 2 hours into every single ride. But
booties are another one too.
Yeah, booties and gloves.
There is no perfect booty out there. I've tried probably a dozen plus different ones. There are some that are better than others. I've got probably 4 different booties that I will use based on what that particular day is going to look like. So
do you layer them ever? Like I have like one layer that's like wind resistant, and I layer another one on top of it that's warm. I don't know.
I've done that before too.
Yeah,
and I've got some that've got both of those built in, but they start to get a little bulky. But
yeah. It's like, can I fit it on the shoe?
Yep. How about you, Lance? What you got? What's going to help you stay fit through this winter?
One of the things that a lot of people might not think about, but actually start a training plan, whether one on Swift or something else where you actually have to put things into a calendar and, on Trainer Road or on Swift or something where you're actually following a specific training plan. And I think, even if it's just a base building plan that has some kind of structure to it, that might be a little more motivating than, okay, I just need to get on the trainer or I need to get, something like that.
Lance, how many days should their training plan be?
At least 950.
Yeah. You're looking at the 3-year picture
You're
here.
looking at a couple years. You want to get a couple year plan put together?
Yeah. Let's make sure you're not thinking short term ever.
Yeah, just you got to stretch it out so that your body has time to adjust.
In that same vein, maybe considering getting a coach to help walk you through this stuff.
Yeah.
And that can sometimes, so you can go out and you can get on a training program. You can find training programs all over the place, but sometimes having that second set of eyes to look at what you're doing and kind of point you in the right direction and help you make decisions and kind of help keep that motivation high, because now you have somebody that's, you're kind of accountable to, is not necessarily a bad thing. So getting a coach.
Yeah. I think that also in cycling, it's, anybody who's ever listened to like the Trainer Road podcast before realizes that if your goal is to race well, you kind of need somebody who's, for one, can guide you in that direction, but can also check you. Because I think cycling is one of the easier sports to over volume. Usually running will talk to you pretty early on. If you're over volume, you'll also run straight into an injury if you're over voluming and running. Yeah. And nobody likes swimming, so it's hard to over volume in swimming. But cycling is a very easy sport to over volume because you can chuck a lot of hours into your training. And if you're doing 18, 19 hours a week of riding, you should be seeing increases in your FTP, increases in your ability to race well. That's for sure. You look at Lance's progression, trains very high volume right now, but has done a good job of also progressing his own fitness through there.
And part of that's that from following a training program through Trainer Road.
Yeah.
So
making it more valuable.
Yeah. When I go easy or I need an easy ride, I really try to make it easy. And when there's interval sets to do, I really try to stick to the interval sets. Mm-hmm. And coincidentally, my FTP's gone from like 240 to 330. So
that's normal.
It's been a good progression.
Most people go over 100 of FTP increase.
Yeah. You just need to follow Trainer Road for 3
normal.
months, and 100-watt increase is very
reasonable.
If you
just a week or two of Trainer Road, and you're good.
I'm planning on by next year being on Pogacar's wheel at that rate.
Right.
Your
FTP. Evan, if we could just bump your FTP by about 100 watts, that'd be about right.
I was thinking about calling, just messaging a couple coaches and being like, my goal is to go from 5.2 watts per kilo to 7.2.
7.2.
But I want to do it clean, and I can only train 5 hours a week. What do you have for me?
I think another good thing just to maintain your fitness is really just trying to keep your watts per kilogram in check. And by that, I mean not gaining too much weight during the winter time. You should be obviously staying on a training program, but as soon as the time changes, that usually kind of like I don't know, it makes you not want to go out and work hard. You don't have like the evening sun ride where you can go out there and soak up a little bit of that vitamin D and get a good workout in and kind of chase your friends around. You kind of lose that and they're like, I can only do the trainer. So I think that a lot of times people, they will slip a little bit with their volume. Hopefully they can use some of the things we've already talked about. But in order to make sure that you're keeping your weight down, it might not be a bad idea through the winter months, especially if you're really setting yourself to a goal of being race fit and ready. Hopefully we have racing in the spring. But managing your caloric intake or using an app like MyFitnessPal, just to make sure that you're checking like what you're eating, how much you're eating, when you're eating throughout the day, just to kind of like bring all of that stuff into focus, so you're not just recklessly just throwing down extra calories or going through the holidays where it's very easy to find these little temptations that pop up all over the place and eating too much, and next thing you know you're like, man, I got stronger but I also got heavier. That's not a good win-win situation there. So
well, I think holidays are tough for a lot of people that are addicted to Mike and Ike's, or if they're just
I'm currently pounding a bag of Mike and Ike's while Jake is telling me not to eat empty quality calories.
But I think a lot of people also tend to drink a fair amount during the holidays, and I think there's some tricks, right? Like I've done this where you put a little bit of water in your beer can, and then you feel the less pressure from your neighbors to it's the social pressure. I'll even tell them like, this is water, and they're it's just the idea of the fact that you have you're having that beer with your buddy. Just little things like that where it's like.
So that's what you put in your 40 when you come out there on the cul-de-sac?
The 40.
Just grab your like little 3.5% seltzer waters. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That stuff's great.
Uh-huh.
It's nice to just have a drink in your hand when you're socializing. So
it does.
Cool.
Holidays are a-coming.
Yes, they are. What else you got, Matt?
I think that, Lance mentioned like have a training plan. Also, we always talk about this on this podcast, but having a race on your calendar might be that other bit of motivation to be like, do I train today or do I wrap presents? Well, I better train today because I've got that race that's going to be next summer or next spring or whenever the race happens to be. If it's on the calendar, that helps. So that'd be good.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I think too, whenever you're looking at playing that next race, look at, really take a good assessment of in 2020, what were your weaknesses, what were your strengths? And that's, it wasn't a typical race year, but you can still look back at your year and be like,
True.
I severely got weaker in this, region. I kept this pretty strong. And then looking at that as what you need to focus on, especially for cyclists. This isn't as much for triathletes, but for cyclists is you got to sprinkle in something else outside of cycling through your off season. I mean, even your best, it's every off season. It's funny on Strava. You'll always see like the Sky Riders. I know you used to always post this. They would do running challenges, which was pretty funny. Like they would, a couple of those guys are actually halfway decent runners.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, obviously we're not talking about Mike Woods. Like I'm sure if Mike Woods was throwing running shoes now, he could probably drop like a 15 5K with zero training. But you're talking about still even at that pro level with how many hours those guys spend on the bike, they're still doing things outside of cycling in their off season. Famously, I know Contador's teams used to always go on big hikes. He had like a couple hikes planned where they would go on just some ridiculous, big high altitude hikes. But anything that's like that combination of strength training and getting weight bearing through your system as a cyclist is hugely important. It's very well documented that osteoporosis is not a joke with cyclists. That is, it is bone health. You can ride your bike and be as fit as you want. Your bones suck if you only ride your bike. Like, that's just the bottom line. So if you don't address that, it's going to become an issue long term. This is why, like, me and Dustin were just talking about this, like, right after my crash. Is like, dude, Vincenzo Nibali a couple years ago fractured his, like, what was like his T8 or something when he crashed. That is not a bone that should be getting fractured. Like, especially if you are an incredibly healthy, 30-something-year-old person.
You are going to have higher bone density because you run.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's like weightlifters, gymnastics. These are the people that are going to have high bone density.
Yeah.
And that's going to serve you well in those crash situations.
Yeah. They do. I really do think that's why in pro cycling you see a lot of these. I think it's happening less and less frequently because I think the pro peloton's getting a lot smarter with their training than they were in the past. But I mean, you look historically, even at the tours I used to watch in the late 90s, I mean, a guy would crash and it's like, boom, fracture instantly. Just like clavicle's gone, The best example is Giuseppe Bellocchi. bad crash, absolutely. That was a serious fracture. He never recovered from that fracture.
Right.
And his surgeon did at that time say he was osteoporotic when he went in for that surgery.
Wow.
The repair is going to be hard on an osteoporotic bone.
Right.
And that's a tragic story because Josiah Bielaki was an incredible talent, and to see him go down like that was awful.
I wonder, though, if your bone density is less, you should be lighter as well.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure you look at the front end of the tour, I'm sure a lot of those guys who are riding 40 hours a week and are really light, that may be part of the equation too. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's the right way to get light, but whatever.
No, that's okay. I don't think any of us are winning the Tour. So if you're planning on not winning the Tour de France, I would focus on like something else outside of cycling this offseason too, to make up for those extra 3-4 hours you're missing off the bike.
Some strength training, some yoga, some Pilates, that would all serve you well.
Some running, some swimming all together.
Not
the swimming part. Yeah.
Weight-bearing exercises. So if you do like squats,
hiking,
stuff like that.
Hiking, yeah, exactly.
Hiking
Like Lance uses hiking. I'm sure is his like frequent one. Hiking is a great one because you can do that with the family during the holidays too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Very cool. What do you got, Lance?
I had 5 different things. One was set up a training plan. One was get an indoor smart trainer. We talked about that. One is register for a spring race or put a spring race on your calendar. One was set a goal like what Jake talked about, either an FTP increase or a distance goal or a ride every day goal.
Yeah, those are
something
fun.
like that. And the last thing I had was to buy something new.
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
Like a piece of equipment or a
Gabba
bike
jersey.
or
Gotta get that Gabba
jersey or something to get you more excited about throwing your leg over the wheel.
That's always highly motivating, yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think everybody has the financial wherewithal to get that done, but there's still little things that you can go out and it doesn't have to be super expensive. Like even like a trainer, a smart trainer is fantastic. Erg mode is fantastic, but you know what? Just riding on a trainer, you can go get a fluid trainer now for less than $100
You can have a
use.
fluid trainer, and if you really want to get onto Zwift, I was just having this conversation with somebody, and they're very affordable, used or new power meters.
Yeah.
You can get a power meter, a fluid trainer, and you're on Zwift. There you go. And
You
which can
just
help you.
use a speed sensor too. Oh, granted,
Yeah.
a power meter's better, but
right.
it's just a basic speed sensor might cost you $30-$40 used.
Yeah.
And you can get a trainer for next to nothing. Get on there and you can just start riding. I mean, you can still do good work, but if you have the ability,
I've seen some really, really cheap trainers out there right now too on Facebook Market. I think everybody's trying to get rid of their trainers. I think everybody bought a trainer as soon as soon as COVID started. And there were some people who were like, "I don't like biking," and then sold them very quickly.
Yeah, used is a good option. None of us mentioned training camp. Lance didn't mention training camp on his list.
Put a training camp. Yep.
Are we not doing training camp this year because of COVID?
I hope we're still able to do it.
We are. We're planning to do it, but it's not a 100%. I mean, we're going to go unless we come to the decision that it's not in our best interest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would say it doesn't, like if we're making recommendations for people's winter training stuff, like it doesn't have to be training camp, but like the concept there, right? Like go take a trip where training is part of the focus.
Yeah.
It could be a family trip as long as the family's on board for like, hey, mom's going to be out training for 3 or 4 hours a day here.
Yeah.
So something to consider.
That was something I had on my list as well.
Did you? Stealing all you guys' ideas.
No, it's all good. We're on the same page. Yeah, just scheduling a trip to go somewhere. This is usually this time of year where the weather's turning here and it's starting to get kind of crappy. And I have, for a lot of years, gone down and done the MS ride down in Southern California. Yeah. And it wasn't going to happen this year for obvious reasons. I got to go last year, didn't get to go the year before. So I've only been once in the last 3 years, which is a bummer. But it's always been a fun ride to go do because you get down there and it's always like, sunny San Diego. You get down there and it's just beautiful weather. You go down and soak up some rays and the whole focus for the entire weekend is riding. I usually go down and over the course of 4 days, I'll ride over 300 miles. So it's a lot of fun.
It's big miles.
Yeah. So what else you got, Evan?
That's it for me.
You're out. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, that's, go on YouTube and get motivated. Watch YouTube channels.
Yeah.
There's a new channel with lots of new content, the Dialed Cycling channel.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's got some good stuff.
It'll last you probably at least half a ride right now because you guys got 2 videos up right now?
No, there's like 4.
4 or 5.
Or they're 4 or 5 now?
Something
okay.
like that, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we just posted up 3 in the last 2 weeks, and then there was
Okay.
2 older videos up there from other stuff.
I'm thinking the newer videos. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. A couple other things. I'll throw these out there real quick, and then we'll wrap this up. We talked about Zwift, but getting onto some sort of a trainer-based program would be a good one for you. Look for people that are doing weekday lunch rides. That's usually a lot of fun. I know that we used to do that quite often down in Southern California, and Matt and I, in years past, have done the lunchtime ride.
We just need to bring that back. Someone's busy with
We
work.
do. Yeah, we're
Both
both
of us.
busy. Exactly. But I've been kind of kicking around the idea because we do have like our Zwift rides, or Tuesday night Zwift rides. I'll talk about that more in just a minute. But we've got those coming up. But like having like maybe a Wednesday or a Thursday lunch ride would be fantastic. If we could launch out of here and maybe shut down the lab for a couple hours and go do a ride when it's light out, that would be fantastic. Let's see here. What else we got? Oh, I did a night ride. I talked about that.
Yeah, that's cool.
That might not be a bad idea too, just to put that on there. It doesn't have to be like every week, but I mean, if you put a schedule like 2 of them a month or something like that, that could be fun. Be a good way to keep yourself motivated. And then your weekend group rides is definitely a good way to go. If it's safe where you're at and people are all open to it, going out and riding with some people in your circle, just friends or teammates, always a good way to stay fit and fun on the bike. Gotcha. I think that's it. You guys want to jump into
recommendations?
Yep. Let's jump into one last thing real quick, right around the table here. Matt, go ahead and go first.
I always have a video to chat about, and I think this past week's video from this weekend was the Garmin Forerunner 745. I kind of jokingly call it, Garmin's affordable triathlon watch, which it's not. It's a $500 watch, which really is lining up similar to the Garmin 945, which is kind of their top of the line 945 triathlon watch or whatever it is. So I would say, this is a very great watch. There's nothing wrong with it. Battery life is a little lacking, but I would say if you want a slimmer watch, I'm not saying female specifically, I'm saying people that have slim wrists like myself.
I hate big gaudy watches.
Do you?
I have to have slimmer watches. Yeah. I hate
and
it.
so this one is quite slim and quite small, and some people are going to prefer.
That size.
I think people are going to prefer it just for that reason, and so that's really the line in the sand that I would say, like, pick this one over that one. But I'm going to do. So I talked about all the features of this watch, and it's a fun video to check out for sure because it's fun to film all the swimming and biking and stuff. Jake helped me with it. He filmed. You saw your clips in there, right?
I did, yeah.
On the bike part, he grabbed some GoPro footage, which turned out really well, and then
super complicated stuff.
It's very complex, but it worked out really well.
Point and pedal.
Point, pedal, go. And then I'm going to come back and do another video on this watch where I compare it to the Garmin 945, which is similar to what Evan has on.
Yep.
So
sweet.
Good times. Check
good
them
video,
out.
Matt. Good job.
On youtube.com/imlegrand. Get there.
Matt is getting a lot of kudos and compliments on his
4,000.
He did, yeah.
Somewhere.
He's got I think you're coming up on like 4,100 almost. But anyway, he's crushing the other Matt LeGrand on YouTube.
Close to that tipping point.
That's the only stat
I think it's once you hit 5K,
Oh.
it just is like a straight skyrocket. You're going to be at 100K before you know it.
Could happen.
He'll be there well before the end of the year.
What?
5K?
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe even 6K.
I still remember being there on your when you hit 1K.
I remember hitting 100.
I was at your house. We celebrated that 1K day. Yeah, because remember I was 999, and then you posted immediately like somebody just like signed to make me 1,000, and then somebody did it like an hour later.
I need to. I like to celebrate all the milestones. Like if I cross 100, got to celebrate. Cross 1,000, better celebrate again. So
yeah.
Every chance to celebrate.
5,000 will be a big party. Big party video.
Yeah, we didn't do much for. Well, I probably had a beer for 4,000, but
you should repost your 5,000. The very first video you ever did.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Not only is Matt giving great reviews though, but the quality of his video, the cinematography and the editing and all of the time and energy and effort that he puts into it. People have no idea how much time that takes. It's labor. I mean, you're sitting there behind the computer for probably hours editing these videos. And, they live on and breathe on, and I'm sure you're getting a little bit more proficient with it over the course of time, but it still takes a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
Just for some of these, like, little transitions that take maybe a second or two,
Right.
you could probably spend 45 minutes to an hour just working on that 1 or 2
I've
second.
done some dumb stuff like that for sure. Spent way too much time on little things that, don't look right or whatever it is. And sometimes it's worth it. Most of the time it's not. But that's how it goes. Cool.
But you live and you learn.
Live and learn.
Evan, one last thing.
This Thursday at 4:30 a.m. if you would like to get up nice and early and jump on the trainer with me. Or stay up late and then go to bed right after,
Yeah.
If you don't have work that next day, then yeah, that's about it for me. Me and Matt were going to talk about, we're going to try opening back up the Sunday long run.
Yeah, I actually I went for a run with
stunted
Ethan
times here
on Heritage Trail, and I was like, we got to start back our
because Ethan can jump in there.
That's what
we
I
can
said.
get the kids.
You're invited.
The kids can run, and we all come out and do our little long run, which would be fun.
Yeah,
sweet,
good idea.
Mr. Hepler, one last thing.
One last thing. Shout out to my son, Lake Hepler. Today is his 25th birthday.
Whoa.
So
25?
Now I'm feeling he's 25. I'm feeling quite old.
I
have a son who's 25.
Wow.
Yeah, and Patreon and friend of the podcast, Mike Reddig. It's his birthday as well, and I am not going to reveal how old he is. But I think he's older
42, I think.
Also
42,
25. Is he 42?
25, one of those. Yeah, he's one of those. He's getting younger every day. You look great, Mike. You look great.
Happy birthday, buddy. Cool. And my one last thing is our Zwift rides are going to start up on Tuesdays. This will come out, and we will have done it last night when you listen to this, if you're going to listen to it on the day it comes out. But moving forward, it'll be every Tuesday until we get to March, probably just after the time changes, generally when we wrap that up. Then if you want to get notifications, or if you want to be a part of that, if you want to ride with some of us who are going to be doing that, you can go to Dialed Cycling on Strava. You can join that group, and we'll post all of the rides up there every single week. And if you RSVP on Strava, you'll get an invite from us through Zwift to go ahead and join the crew and come out there and plug away for, they're usually about an hour and a half to 2 hours long, and it's just a great workout. It sounds like it's a long ride for some people to be on a trainer, but when you're on there, we're on Discord talking with each other. You see each other's avatars. There's a couple little hot sections in there. The next thing you know, like the ride's over, and you're like, wow, that 2 hours felt like 30 minutes. And that's a really nice way to pass the time. So that's a fun time, and we'll get started on those tomorrow as we record this. So
cool.
Very cool. Anything else, you guys?
That's it.
All right. Let's wrap this thing up. We really appreciate you all listening. We'll be back next week with another exhilarating episode of the Dialed Podcast. Until then, have a good one. Bye for now.